Hi, this is Kevin Thomas and welcome back to the At Home Film Festival. This week's theme is Upon Request. And from my brother from another mother, Nathan, I was requested to do Westerns. It's not my favorite genre, sorry to say. But thank you, Nathan, because that gave me 10 days from when I heard through our friend Carol that you requested this theme, and I've been watching Westerns left and right, and I realize there are so many great ones. Some I love a lot, like Shane and High Noon, and there's so many great classics. And I'm actually gonna try not to do the great classics. I had to cheat though. There's one great popular Western that I have to talk about. But I'm trying to uncover ones that are not as known as the rest. So I'm gonna leave other people to discuss these big, giant, hit classic Westerns, and I'm gonna find you 7 smaller movies that you may have forgotten about or didn't even know about. And you can watch one a day, which is why I do 7, or you could binge them all today. Okay, so there's no way you could do a segment on great Westerns without including John Wayne. He has done so many great Westerns. It's hard to think of him in a non-Western role. In fact, his only Oscar is for a Western, True Grit. So of all his popular movies through over the years and decades, I have chosen The Shootist, available on Hulu. This movie was his final film, and it was actually a box office flop. And John Wayne often blamed the studio on it because he didn't think they promoted it well. When they were advertising it, they were showing more clips of his old movies saying, you know, the greatest actor of all time of Westerns is back. He wanted people to focus more on this story. He thought, I hear, he might have gotten an Oscar nomination for this, and he was actually very worthy. The trouble is, the movie didn't do well. It's super good though, where he plays a gunslinger who comes to a small town to die, but due to his notoriety, so many people don't want him to die in peace. They want to be the one who took him down. Really good performance by him. Laura Bacall's fantastic in it. And Ron Howard, who we mostly know as a director. This is back in the day when he was an actor. Really good film. You also have to include a movie with Clint Eastwood on a Western-themed show, right? So yes, he's done all those dollar movies, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He's done so many Western things. He won an Oscar for Unforgiven, which is a classic. But I went to more of a less known film of his, or less popular, The Outlaw Josey Wales. I actually saw this years ago. God, it's heartbreaking right there. I actually saw this years ago. My friend Max gave it to me on a DVD. It took me a while to watch it because I'm not Kevin Western, but really, it reminded me it doesn't matter if they're out in the Old West with dust blowing and dirt. It reminded me of humanity, because Clint plays a man who was just living his life, but yet people came to town, killed his family. He's now on a trip to get even and to return to normalcy. And this film really stands out of all the Clint Eastwood Westerns. And at the time, it was not a big hit, but it was critically acclaimed. You see if you agree with me and my friend Max, and watch it on HBO. Okay, one of the first Westerns I ever loved was The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. You have to pay a few dollars to rent this. I actually didn't realize how many Westerns that Jimmy Stewart made, because he does this, and I didn't mean to include another one with John Wayne, but I just love this movie so much that I couldn't ignore it. I almost did Jimmy Stewart and Destry Rides Again, but I try to stay away from the comedy aspect of Westerns and stick more to the story. So this actually has Jimmy Stewart as sort of a timid man about town that seems to be the chosen one to take down Liberty Valance. But does he take him down? Somebody shoots Liberty Valance, but it doesn't say in the title who shot Liberty Valance. It is the man who shot Liberty Valance. So which one of those people takes him on? We have to watch this movie to discover that. I actually think this is also one of the best performances by Lee Marvin as Liberty Valance, and he won an Oscar for a Western, so I guess that's a genre for him, but you must watch this film. And look up Destry Rides Again with Jimmy Stewart from 1939. That's also a fun Western, okay? Our next movie is The Gray Fox. Just a few dollars to rent, but it's worth it. It stars Richard Farnsworth in a really great true life story of a man who was in prison for years, I think 33, and he finally gets out. He was a bank robber, and he kind of takes up bank robbing again, but at the same time, he develops relationships with people. It's almost sweet because people can't believe such an old man is robbing banks. And visually, this film is stunning. All the shots are well set up. It's beautifully photographed. Wonderful, wonderful film. Really don't miss it. It's a winner. Look at those beautiful shots. This one isn't great, but it's good. Hanna Calder. You could find it on Screen Picks. In fact, Screen Picks also has a whole Western channel. You could spend tons of time watching there. In fact, High Noon's on this week. Wow. But this is sort of the female version of Outlaw Josie Wales or Death Wish, where Hanna Calder, Raquel Welch, her husband is murdered. She is raped by 3 people. She then learns how to shoot a gun because her now goal in life is to get even, and Justice is a bitch and she can really take care of herself. I promise you that. Is it the greatest movie? No. Sometimes it even is funny, and I don't know if it meant to be, but it's riveting at the same time, and Raquel takes no prisoners, or the one she does, she's gonna kill. Take that, bitches. Back to 1979, where we have Heartland. There's so many movies called Heartland, so when you search this out, find the right one. It's with Conchetta Ferrell from 2.5 Men. Wow, and oh, by the way, you can find this on YouTube for free. Also on Fandor if you're a subscriber. But Conchetta plays a woman in Wyoming that puts an ad out. She wants to be a housekeeper and helps people because she wants the money to raise her daughter. She wants to start a life on her own. She doesn't need to be dependent on others. She just wants a job. Of course, part of the job, she ends up getting more involved than she wants to with Rip Torn, and that actually develops into a very interesting relationship. This movie seems real, it's gritty, it shows what hard work is and how it pays off and what life could be like back in the old days. Maybe I don't like Westerns because I don't want to be doing laundry outside and peeing outside. Who knows? Maybe I just don't like the dust or the dirt. Who knows? But let's move on. My last movie is a big budget, big hit Oscar winner, which I try not to put on this list. But Django Unchained is the perfect example of a Western that everybody should like. Because I focus less on the Western story. I used to think I didn't like Westerns because they involve a bunch of shootouts. But if you really think about it, shootouts happen in any movie, whether it's gangs anywhere or just violence in the streets. People don't stop their shootouts. Maybe in the West it was more organized. This movie on Showtime and Netflix is great on all fronts. It won so much acclaim. I actually feel one Oscar nomination short for Leonardo DiCaprio. He won many awards for this. He was overshadowed by Christoph Waltz, who won the Oscar. There's Christoph, by the way. But Leonardo really, really was good, and I'm surprised he didn't get Oscar nominated. In fact, there's an interesting scene in this movie that I want to show you where Leo actually cut his hand in real life while filming, but he kept in character till the scene was done. I think that's great acting in its own, but let's take a look at that scene, okay?
Man, I bashed him, a little scold. You would have the same 3 dimples in the same place as old Ben.
Ooh, that's where he did it. Cut his hand.
Lift those palms.
Accidentally.
Tabletop. Mr. Pooch is going to let loose with both barrels that sawed off. There have been a lot of lies set around this dinner table here tonight, but that you can't believe. Mr. Moody, would you be so kind as to collect the pistol hanging off these boys' hips here? Thank you ever so much. Doctor. Where were we?
Well, that's our show. We're going to end it as we began with clips from great movies that you all know. I didn't discuss these because you didn't need my help. Hopefully I helped you find some new ones to try out. Thank you for the suggestion. I hope for you to give me comments below. What's your favorite secret unknown Western film? Or do you have any suggestions for other themes? Let me know. In the meantime, hope you share, And subscribe. And tell those who subscribe to share, and tell those who share to subscribe. I will see you next week with a whole new show. Right 'em, cowboy.